It's my glasses have a glare in them.
Yeah, I
Should I take
do.
them
Yeah,
out?
I took my glasses off too, but we are live. But I took mine off because it has that glare too. But hello, everyone that's tuning in to the replay, tuning in live. You're here with Zoe Life CCP for another author spotlight with one of our OMG, could I say OG writers? One of our very first clients, one of our very first authors, The Quiet Storm, as she goes by, and as I like to call her, because trust me, the talents that come out of her loins, out of her spirit, are absolutely just amazing. She has worked with us on acting projects. She has worked with us on our team, Team CCP. She has worked with us. We've been able to collaborate on other projects outside of CCP. We've also been just blessed to be her independent midwife for her books, not one, not two, but three books, and we are working on a load more, and so much more with her, because she has golden jewels. When I say she is just amazing with her talent, so um, I welcome you to our author spotlight with author Toni Chevelle. She is a motivational speaker. She is a poetess. She is a fiction writer. And today we're going to talk about the trilogy of the first book of the trilogy, Within These Walls. Hello, Miss Kim. Thanks
Hello.
for tuning in. Welcome to the show, Miss Toni Chevelle.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
you know
You know,
what?
it's funny you should mention, like me being an OG. I was just looking through some stuff we had done previously, and I found
Yeah.
our very first contract. And so,
Wow.
we have an anniversary coming up in June. It will be 5 years that we signed that first
Wow.
contract.
Wow. That is amazing.
So
That's amazing. And
it
I just
is.
appreciate it, because you know how I feel about Delta authors for one. But I just appreciate just the loyalty to um, helping us help you, because when we first started, we were not Zoe Life CCP. We were just, oh, you want to write a book? You want to get it published? Cool. Like, I'll help.
Let's go.
So, and so we have definitely grown, and you just grown with us. So that is amazing. So I'm gonna give you the floor and kind of let you introduce yourself before I get into asking my questions. This never gets old. I don't even know what interview this is for us now, but it never gets old. Our audience constantly grows, so it's kind of like we're doing this all over again for the first time. So I'll give you the floor to just introduce yourself, tell our audience a little bit about you, and then we'll get the ball rolling there.
Sounds good. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am author Toni Chevelle. My birth name, my government name, as they say, is Antoinette Corbin. I was born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Educated here also at O'Bannon High School, at Mississippi Valley State University. Um, Writing, I've been writing since high school. Fell in love with it then. We've been creating stories since we were kids, my sister and I, playing with Barbies. So it's been my passion for pretty much all my life. I'm enjoying the ride now that the kids, which I have two, I have a daughter and a son. She's 26 and he's 22. I have to think for a minute. It's like, gosh, they've grown so fast. But they're my inspiration for taking this journey, you know. But now that they're grown and not as dependent on me, I really have the time to pour into my career, my writing, my speaking. Um, that's pretty much me. I'm laid back when I'm not writing. I'm listening to music or shopping. Pretty much it. But most of the time, I'm writing. So it's rare that I'm not doing something with writing or speaking.
Oh wow, that is definitely amazing. So You said that you have been writing since basically you were younger when you started with your
Mhm.
sister. But the first thing that we published with you was a poetry book, and I'm just kind of we're gonna talk about within these walls, but I just want to hit everything that you've done so far and what it meant to you. You know, to take something that you basically started when you were way younger, you know, and actually publish your first title, you know, with that collection of poems from so many phases of your life. How was that? And what inspired you to say, look, I have all these writings, you know, they are yay old. First of all, a lot of people don't even keep up with stuff that they've written a year ago. So you kept up with a
Yeah.
collection of your poems. Did you always know that, you know, you wanted to get it published, or what was the moment where it was like, well, look, you know, this needs to go in the book?
When I first started writing with it, it was like I don't know exactly what made me keep the poems because a lot of stuff from my childhood is just, it's gone. You move so many times, but those things I made a point to keep up with. Um, I just always felt that at some point in my life I was going to get published. So I just had to make a point to just keep up with it, and I kept them all in the same folder, and that was from 35 years ago, and who knows how many times I've moved since then, but it was just
Wow.
something. I think it was just the spirit just letting me know if you don't keep up with anything else, keep up with this.
Keep up with that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And as a writer, because I've been writing since I was 9, I can't tell you where half of my poems are. Like, I remember some of them when I first started writing, because you know it's like real elementary. You know, I remember some of
Mhm.
them just off the bat, but I couldn't tell you where my poems are, and so that for one is truly amazing, and it shows that you have a vision for your art. You know, a lot of people don't take this as, and they don't take it seriously. And so one of the things that I love
Mhm.
about you and working with you is, even if you don't feel like you've been as consistent as you should have been, it's very rare that I see writers stick to their passion, you know, and you've been consistently doing that for 5 years. And no matter the stretches in between, you know, it's like, okay, I'm picking it back up. Here I am. Toni Chevelle is here to stay, you know. So that is,
Definitely.
you know, that is a very, very admirable thing. So after Manamir Mosaics, which is the first book, the collection of poems, and all of these, for you guys that are watching, all of these are available on our website, witnesslegend.com/Toni Chevelle. I believe we do have a signature collection bundle still. Do we have? Um, we can do at least one bundle
We have at
that
least
you
one.
have where we can have
Yes.
it. Okay, we can at least do one bundle, so that's also on the page if you want to just get all of these writings for a bundle. That is available, but they are limited. However, after Manamir Mosaics, then we went into within these walls, and I'm gonna skip that because that's the highlight of this show anyway. So I'm gonna skip that,
Yeah.
and we'll talk a little bit more about that process. And I want to dabble into Till Death. Can you tell us a little bit about? Um, we released that last year, wasn't it? Last year, 20 or
Hmm.
2019. 2019.
I think it was 20. Yeah,
Um,
2019.
2019. So Till Death, what is that about for the audience
Yeah.
sake?
Till Death is about my experiences with dating, with relationships, and marriage. It touches a little bit on things that happened with me prior to marriage, a few things that happened before I started dating, and it chronicles how all of that affects your future relationships. And it came about, I really didn't have any idea or inclination that I was even going to touch on that because fiction is my thing, my passion. But I got the inspiration to write it a few years after my husband passed away. And as you know, with marriage, because you're married, so you know that it can be a challenge at times, but you have to be committed to it. And you hit highs and lows, and you go through some things with marriage, and I experienced a lot of that. And when I initially got the inspiration, it was like, you're going to write this, but not now. And see, had I written it when the inspiration initially struck, it would have come from a place of unhealed hurt and anger and pain. And that was not what I wanted for the book. I wanted the book to be a blessing to those who read it. I wanted people who read it, singles, married couples, whoever, to really get the meat of the matter, which is, um, you have to be prepared for marriage. It's not something and so many people do, but you don't just jump up, okay, let's go get married. There's so much that a person goes through in their lifetime prior to meeting that person. And if you haven't addressed certain things that have gone on in your life, you're going to carry that into your marriage. And it puts cracks in the foundation. So, what I wanted with Till Death was to share my experiences and my perspective, give people something to think about as they consider dating and getting ready for marriage and, that sort of thing. I had to wait
That
until
is
I was in a better place, in a better headspace before I wrote it, because it wasn't meant to
right.
be a juicy, dirty tell-all
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have easily written that and sold millions
Yeah.
of copies, but that wasn't the point.
Yeah. But that wasn't the
So,
purpose, and I can say I
right.
relate to that. Your thing is fiction, mine is more under mandate about stuff that I really don't want to write about. But in that, one of the things that I have scaled away from myself is my previous marriage and things that I went through with that, and I can tell that a season is coming to where some of those things will have to be released because it's still part of my testimony and my ministry. So I respect you a whole lot as a woman. To as an elder, to set that example, that even when you're telling your story, you have such a grace and a poise about telling it in a way where it's not necessarily meant to be shameful to others,
Yeah.
because that like you said, it defeats the purpose, and you're really trying to help. And as a reader, and as a married woman, I can say it is definitely one of those books that, at 19, 18 years old, I would have appreciated, because nobody taught me, how to be a wife. And I think that a lot of times we find so much fault. Um, in marriages when marriages fail, whose fault is it? The woman should have did this, the man. But if we really just are truthful with ourselves, it's on both, because
Yeah.
we both need to
Yeah.
be prepared for this commitment. And a lot of times we're not, especially in this generation, because you just don't see the example. So Till Death, you guys, is a wonderful book, especially if you're considering marriage. Even if you're not considering marriage, if you feel like you know it all, um, get the book for somebody else or something like that, because it definitely drops a lot of jewels when it comes to things to just really make marriages last. I think, personally, I went into the study of, okay, how do we make it work? Just how do we make it work? I haven't seen it work, and I'm missing something. So how do I make it work? And so Till Death is definitely an inspiration. It is definitely different from, within these walls. You could tell
Definitely.
it's separated, your writing genres, but I look forward to seeing a lot come from that book in and of itself, because it's necessary for those particular people who is written to. So um, kudos on that. You know how I feel about marriage and stuff. So it's definitely one of
Absolutely.
those books that I feel like is needed. So um, I won't hold you up. Let's get into the meat of this phase within these walls. Um, for the last couple of weeks, Toni has actually introduced all of the characters on within these walls. So if you have missed any of those, Go back and watch them. They are actually on the web page as well. So if you just want to look for them all in one section, just go to witnesslegend.com/Toni Chevelle, and you'll see that. You'll be able to actually see all of her titles, actually. But that's neither here nor there. We've covered the first two. Within these walls, the key thing about within these walls that I loved is the journey that you took with developing these characters. And I want you to tell the story just from an inspirational point of view, because somebody probably has a script or a fiction series out there that they're sitting on. Um, and I want to be a voice of kind of birthing because within
Yeah.
these walls is a masterpiece, but it didn't come easy writing it. So what was it like? What was the process like in getting this book out?
Uh, Within These Walls was actually birthed from another project. It was birthed from the very first book that I wrote, which I still have over there in my tote bag. I'm going to do something with it someday. I don't know. But I wrote it my senior year in high school. Between my senior year in high school, my freshman year in college is when I finished it. And, looking at it now, it's so corny to me. But I love it just the same because that's what got the whole thing started. So Within These Walls was birthed from that story. And the characters came about, the characters are based on people that I know. Some are family members, some are friends, some are people that I've met, but each character is based on someone that I know and someone who's impacted my life in some way. So that's where they came from. The story came from that book. And the process, I started with, just outlining what I wanted the overall picture. I started outlining the story, how I wanted to progress, how it's going to start, the middle, the end. And I just went from there. I have somewhere over there my little calendar planner thing. And in the back of it, I had notes where I just sketched out like the whole storyline, stuff about each character, stuff that I knew that I need to revisit as I wrote the book. And I did that for number one, for consistency. Um, because what a lot of people may not get when you're writing, especially with fiction, is the consistency. You might have something in chapter one, you get down to chapter nine, you'd be like, but wait a minute, in chapter one, this didn't happen this way. So I was careful to keep detailed notes so that I could keep the story and all the occurrences and all of the action, the progression consistent. And for me, that's key. And that was a long part of the process, is going back and revisiting, make sure everything lined up, everything even down to dates that this happened. When you get to this point in this story, well, does that make sense? Does that time add up? So it can be a pretty time consuming, sometimes tedious process, but it's one that I enjoy because it helped me develop the characters and the story, everything, um, to the point where I felt, okay, this is it.
Somebody, I can't see who the user is, but they said great tip. I'm soaking it up, and I just wanted to,
Awesome.
say I
Awesome.
definitely can relate to that. Being a fiction writer, you definitely have to. It's like it's like clocking in, and so that's why I say to see
Mhm.
your commitment to this process, your commitment to these characters, your commitment to this book, is definitely amazing. And I think, I don't think, I know, I believe that this trilogy will go far. So you've got the characters, you've done the homework, you plotted out in your head. How do you determine necessarily what these characters are going to go through? How do you determine their their characteristics? How do you determine that Greg is going to be this successful, handsome entrepreneur, and that his wife is going to be, this negative Nancy. What,
Mhm.
you know,
Uh, they kind of built themselves. Like I say, I based the characters on people that I know, so I took some of their traits, and then I also took the personal experiences, family experiences, and kind of wove that into the story. Um, I kind of pictured in my head what I would want to see on the screen as a viewer, and I saw that as a quote or something somewhere where it's like, if you don't see the book that you want to read, write it.
yeah,
But it's kind of that. I pictured in my head, okay, what would I want to see happen? How would I want to see this unfold if I were watching this on the big screen or on TV? And I kind of just went from there. And at times it kind of just wrote itself because sometimes I had no idea where this chapter was going or what was going to go on with this person. And it kind of just flowed. And I'm like, where did that come from? But it worked so well. And I'm like, okay,
yeah.
spirit, I'm just a
That
tool.
is
I'm just a vessel.
that is so true.
That's
Like I said, that is so I can relate to that, and it's just so admirable. Like I said, and what I really want to do, and we'll leak some future plans right now because um Toni Chevelle has such a gift for writing, and I know that she would be a great inspiration. And so we're working on actually just having some moments where we just talk writing fiction. She's to me an expert in it, and I'm not. Let me tell you, as a writer, I'm not impressed by a lot of writers. I don't mean to sound cocky, but as a writer, I'm not impressed with a lot of writing because a lot of it doesn't move me. I'm real enough to say, okay, this may not be my genre, but it's good writing. I'm the same way with music. I may not like
Mhm.
the particular type of music, but I'll be real enough to say, okay, that's pretty good, or no, that sucked, because I think personally I'm a critic, and I can critique something without being biased. You in this book is just good writing, and if you've read the book, and if you've read the book, feel free to comment down below and just chime in. But if you read the book, you can literally visualize even the parts. I'm gonna tell you, just because I have to separate being a reader and being the publisher a lot of times. And so a lot of times I've picked up just for, like, making the flyers and, putting little quotes on the flyers and putting it down. And it's like I get caught up in the scene. And so I'm there like 10 minutes later. I'm just supposed to be making a
Mhm.
flyer, and I've gotten caught up in the scene because one, two, quotes, or one, two, lines is like, I need to. What just happened? What did she say? Why is she? Did that happen? Well, what's gonna happen next? So you can visualize this book as you're reading it, and that is just amazing. I'm gonna stop right quick so we can look at some comments. Somebody told me I was pretty. I gotta. It's not showing me who you are. Whoever said you're so pretty. Just can you comment your name, because I don't know what's up with the app itself, but I can't see. But thank you. And then we have another comment that says, "Yes, that's good. If you don't want to read it, don't write it." That is good. There's another comment that when I was writing for, it mentioned, if you don't cry when you're writing it, your readers aren't gonna cry. If
Mhm.
you don't, get angry when you're writing it, your readers
Mhm.
aren't gonna get angry. And so I just remember even myself, and I want to ask you this: have you ever experienced it as well? You say great tips, just write and let the Holy Spirit take over. Absolutely. And I tell people that the book will write itself. If you just sit down, the book will write itself. Oh, Alicia. Hey, Alicia.
Hey, Alicia,
Hey,
thanks.
Alicia. I'm sorry. It's just saying Facebook user. And I don't,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be rude, but I wanted to ask you this as a writer, writing those different characters. Did you ever have moments where, you were emotionally, like, caught up in the characters in a particular scene, like scenes that made you mad or
Absolutely. Um,
absolutely.
I think one of the I think one of the biggest ones is probably um, the Thanksgiving dinner scene from Within These Walls. Um, when Katie just, lets loose and says some stuff and just goes off. And I'm writing it and I'm like, no, she didn't just say that. And I just wrote it, you know, or, they did not just do that. And I just wrote it and I'm, oh, she wrong for that, you know. So I definitely have the emotional reaction to the action or to the
Wow.
scene or whatever.
Wow.
Something if I something funny and I'm cracking up like, they
Yeah.
did not just say that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
is that's so fun, and it's just so fun. Um, so fun. Just to think about it, because I look at the different dynamics of the family, and I know you said like the characters came from like real life people, inspiration or whatever. But was it a particular family? Like, what made you decide to just take these six girls and a maid? I got a question about this maid too, but these six
Okay.
girls and this, like, what
Mhm.
made you put the family dynamic together? Like, why didn't they have any boys? Like, you know, what inspired that
Uh,
part?
the family that inspired this family, this one in particular, actually has five girls, and I added the sixth. Um, I don't know, just on a whim. I think, you know, just to kind of make it a little bit different. I didn't want to be, a carbon copy or, copycat of this particular family. So I added a sixth child. Um, and it just went from there. I made it a
Okay.
two-parent family because this parent was a one-parent family, but I made it a two-parent family to have them kind of bounce off each other. You got
Yeah.
this parent is this particular way, and then the other parent is a
Yeah.
complete 180 from that person.
Yeah.
And how does that clash affect the children? So I wanted to kind of build
You
on that.
know, and I don't know, and I love, like I said, y'all. I feel like I'm talking to you like as a fan. Like, I know, like, this is publisher and all this stuff, but I'm really talking to you as a fan because I just had this thought in my mind, like, have you thought about actually doing a spinoff with just Greg and his wife? Because like, like the way that you write makes people want to know, okay, well, how did how did they even get together? You know what I'm saying? Or what made them
Mhm.
who they are at their part in their relationship now? Because obviously they probably didn't start like that. And I know if you're watching and if you've never read the book, we're probably talking way over your head. Just go get the book. um,
Get
but
the book.
have you ever thought about just kind of like spinning their story off and bringing their story together, kind of like that?
I actually have. Um, when I got to parts of the book that went into their backstory, I started to realize that would actually make a pretty good story in itself. So who knows? Maybe doing a new contract for a few more installments. Because I've noticed
That's
a couple of the
cool. That
characters actually have backstories that could be, you know, a
yeah,
good, you know,
a good
piece of itself.
storyline in
Yeah.
itself.
So I'm definitely making notes.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing about
Yeah.
fiction itself. Like, you can go so many places with it. Like, it's limitless. Like, we just
Mhm.
saw Coming to America 2, and the first movie
Yeah.
came out how long ago? Like, come on now. Like, and it's
Oh,
it's
I was young.
literally, you can build a
Younger.
legacy. It,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, you can literally build a legacy with what you have within these walls. Like it is a good read. Somebody say yes, that's good. Yes, but I got to read it now listening to y'all. Yes, go and read this title because it will draw you
Hmm.
in. I love a good fiction book.
Yeah.
I love. I'll tell you another thing. This is, and I remember this conversation precisely.
Hmm.
When you have fiction titles, a lot of times, me being the type of person I am, I don't necessarily like reading any type of thing, and you had a elegancy about the type of messages you wanted to put in your book without using common fiction themes with the cursing and the graphics and different things like that. And
Yeah.
so it made people like me who isn't, I'm not a fan of at this point in my life. I'm not a fan of fiction that has a lot of dirty stuff in it, or the typical urban fiction. And so you, in a sense, created or planted your foot in a completely different genre, saying, look, this is me, this is Toni Chevelle, and this is what I'm bringing to the table. You know, kind of like I liken it to the Tyler Perry. You know what I'm saying? Like I can give you these stories, but I don't want to say stoop to, but I don't have to get outside of who I am. You know,
Hmm.
how important was that for you? You know,
Uh, it was very important because it reflects the journey that I've been on. I could very easily, the same as with Till Death, I could have very easily, given all the dirty details of what my late husband and I went through. Um, could have it could have been a bashing thing, but that would have been totally outside of my purpose, totally outside of the purpose of the book. It's so easy, to do a tell all or do a book with completely sexual themes and the cursing and all of that. But I wanted something different for my writing, you know, and you can tell a story and have it meaningful and have it have impact without resorting to the same type casting that goes on in the world of fiction or urban fiction. And I wanted to make that clear. And I wanted my writing to reflect the journey that I've been on. Because I mean, I used to read all of the urban stuff with all the X-rated themes and all of that. I used to write that. As a matter of fact, somewhere on one of my old jump drives, I still have a couple of erotica pieces that I wrote. Um, but it's a totally different thing for me now. And it's not about being, high and mighty or it's just about growth. It's about getting people to understand that there's a whole lot more to life and its experiences and telling those stories without being, for lack of a better word, vulgar about it,
yeah,
you know.
that
And that's just
that
what it
is,
was. I wanted the story to be told and I wanted it to rest on its own merits, without
yeah,
the trappings of
yeah.
fluff,
I
as I like to
remember
call
that. Yeah, but that is true, and I remember that. And at the moment, I just find it was such a perfect fit because even during that time, like I said, even when we published within these walls, CCP wasn't officially a company. We independently help authors, but we weren't who we are, and I didn't know that Zoe Life CCP was going to be a publishing company that only accepted certain type of writings. So it's almost as if we didn't know how far this would take us back in 2017, 2018. But it's like things have lined themselves up where we can not only bring books to our readers, where they can be inspired by true life testimonies, but we can actually bring books to our readers through fictional pieces that will entertain and inspire and still um, stand on its own, like you said, um, without everything else that the culture will tell you that you have to have. And so I feel like this within these walls definitely makes its own pathway. And I think watching it may seem like it's been a little difficult um, to not fit in a sense, but
Mhm.
it's literally a trailblazer. It's literally a trailblazer because I don't know anyone else, and I could be completely wrong because I don't know everybody in Mississippi, but I don't know anyone else in Mississippi that does what we're doing, and that is creating the content and creating a platform where we release positivity and inspiration, and we do so with certain standards. And it's not, I'm not being judgmental to those that curse in their raps or books and all that type of stuff like that. That's just not our lane. And so to have
Yeah.
books on our platform that we can market and still entertain and people still love and people are still saying, I know like Miss Stafford, she's ready for part 2. Miss Stafford, because I know you're watching or you gonna watch, you gonna have a front row seat to part 2. And
Exactly.
we're gonna get into part 2 in a second, but
Exactly.
I just I
Yeah.
really wanted to ask some questions just around within these walls because um it's relevant in this season. I read this quote. It said something. I'm gonna misquote it because I don't remember it completely, but it said something to the nature of every movie that you watch has a writer behind it. You know, basically every show that you watch, everything that you do was created from a creator, from an artist, from a singer, from a songwriter, and we don't get enough credit for that. Like you see the production of it, but you don't see, you know, who was that said something about you wasn't in the gym shooting. I don't know, it's an old song, but you don't see the long nights that
Mhm.
we spend perfecting our craft. Like you just sent me another re-edit just recently, you know what I'm saying? Because you're that much
Mhm.
into your craft. So, just speaking on that note, um, about how many hours per week do you spend on your writing? I know you said if you're not doing, you're mainly writing, but about what does that look like for you? About how many hours a week?
Mm, ah, 'cause I can go if when I really get into it, I can watch the sun come up just working on stuff. So
Wow.
I would say I at least put in 40 to 50 hours. At least
Wow.
there have been some times where I'd start working on it. It may
Yeah.
be this time of the night, and I look around and it's 5 in the morning. You know, there have been nights where I didn't go to sleep at all,
Wow.
just so into, and I would have to make myself stop and rest. But I easily at least 40 to 50 hours. Some of it is actual writing, some of it is going back and rereading and revising. And okay, this part one, is this lining up with what I have in this part? And are those two parts, are they lining up with what I have to come in this part? So it's quite a process.
Wow.
I
Wow.
enjoy it.
Yeah. Even
I
Alicia,
enjoy it.
she
I live
said,
for it.
wow. Wow. That is very,
it
very inspirational. Wow. Um, so
I want people to
it
get
is,
that, when people think of us writers, like, oh, you have an ear in front of a computer. No, it's work. It is a full-time job.
it is.
It just
It
happens
is.
that it's our passion,
Yes.
but it's a full-time
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. Especially when you have bigger visions, like you do. So, one of the things that, and I knew from the very beginning we were going to do was, I knew this was going to be a trilogy. Let's see. Alicia says, I claim that, but just for spring break though. I said 2 hours a day. Hey, if you can get in 2 hours a day, that's better than nothing. I tell all authors, whether you're
Exactly.
publishing with me or not, get you a writing schedule. Do I not, Miss Tony Chevelle?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You just need the, like,
Absolutely.
and like she said, consistency.
Set that time
Because
aside. Mhm.
once you get to writing, and she said it herself, once you get to writing, your book will literally write itself, because it's not coming from here, it's coming from your spirit, it's coming from the gifts and
Mhm.
the talents that's inside of you. So you just need to bypass this and lock in, and it'll flow, and
Mhm.
you'll see the talent just released like a river. um to the trilogy part, so we are looking at, obviously bringing in two more books, and I don't, want you to get too in debt. But we are going to focus on making sure that you as a reader have read Within These Walls before we come out with the next bomb,
Mhm.
because it is a bomb. um, but could you introduce to us, starting with the title of the new book, could you introduce to us what part two holds for the Chambers family?
Okay, part two. I've been so excited. It's been hard to just sit on it. But you did say I can officially say what the title is now. Okay, so part two of the Chambers Family Trilogy is called Far From Home. Uh, it takes us down a little bit of a different path from uh, from where we left off with the Chambers family. It's how they say off the beaten path, so to speak. You're reading it and you're like, "Mm, is that really? Are you sure? Do they?" But trust me, when you get, that's why we keep reiterating, get within these walls, make sure you read it, because when you get to part two, you're going to need that foundation. But yes, part two, Far From Home, it takes us a little bit more in depth with the youngest daughter, Amy, and her experiences with some of her friends. And it actually goes into a little bit more. I don't want to reveal too much, but it goes into a little bit more than just her story, but it follows a little bit of her path. Uh, hmm, what else? I want to fill you guys in on without revealing too much.
That's good. That's good. I just wanted to, like you said, officially release that title, "Far From Home." You guys will be seeing some things very soon, very soon. This month soon. I will let you know this month soon on this new title, because "Far From Home" is. I'm gonna let you tell the backstory on this. I feel like I could just do like so much right now, but I want you to kind of like let us in on the creative side and the difference in writing Within These Walls versus Far From Home, and the um, the time in between picking this up and actually, delivering it on the platter in my email. What was that like? Between Within These Walls and Far From Home.
uh, the time frame, actually, and I consider this to all be a part of the writing process. Um, I had intended for Far From Home to be, let's see, Within These Walls was what, 2018, I think. And then I had intended for Far From Home to be 2019. Well, 2019 came and went, and stuff happened, and life happened, and for about 6 months, I didn't even look at the file. You know, just to be completely honest, just to be transparent. Um, but I think that was in preparation for getting me ready for Till Death, because Till Death came in between there. And that was the time which I, you know, did some self reflection and got ready for Till Death, got Till Death done, then came back to Far From Home. And I think I actually needed that time to really develop where I wanted the story to go in my head. So Far From Home takes a little bit a different path within these walls. Um, we look a little bit at the youngest daughter and her path in life, but it actually focuses on someone else. And that someone else may seem like, okay, this is just off. This is not, how does this, you're asking these questions as you're reading. And then, but that's where you have to, kind of stay on the train. You've gotten within these walls, then you get Far From Home, but you have to have both. And then it's going to all tie together with part three, which I'm working on now.
Is amazing. Mrs. Robinson, Mrs. Alicia, she said, "Thank you for your transparency." Um, now your
Absolutely.
story is just amazing. You're so much more than just a writer. But to see your process, to know your process, I just feel like I need to get my own personal copies autographed so that I can have them say, "Look, I got this from the stages," And I really think a
Yes.
lot of people, especially where we come from, we don't honor the talent in its caterpillar stage. We don't honor that talent. We don't see the 5, 10 year down the line, the 50 year. I believe, honestly, and I'm trying not to even get emotional when I say this. I just believe that you are about to leave your footprints in a major Maya Angelou, Tyler Perry like impact on our state with your talents. Um,
I,
because
I
it's
receive that humbly. I receive that. I
you.
will have to show you sometime. I wish I could turn this so you could see it. Uh, you can see, you see, there's a picture with the lady with the blue. There's a picture next to that.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to let you see that in person sometime. The next time, maybe you come home if you have a minute. I'll let you see that. That is me. That's an article about me that was written in the Delta Democrat in 1975. I wasn't even 6 years old yet. And it talks about my capabilities, what they see in me. I think one of the actual quotes in that article says something about a future literary genius. I had no idea what that meant at the time. And I had that article and I lost it. That was, we were talking about stuff that we keep up with and you move and stuff. And that was one of the things that I lost. And I went to the courthouse one day and I realized sorry for getting off topic, but I just had to put this in right quick. And I went to the courthouse for something else. And I found out that they have all these older articles, these archives and whatnot. So I asked about it. The lady went upstairs and she helped me find it. So I got it and I framed it, still not knowing, and this was several years ago when I got that, still not knowing what that would mean as far as this writing thing and my career and all of that. So when you mentioned, you know, leaving my mark and my footprints, that made me think about that. And it's just, and I don't mention that, to brag or anything, but it's just to show how amazing how things line up in your life. And when you start walking in your purpose, the things that have been, this was 1975. Like I said, I hadn't turned CO. So this is like 45 years ago that this happened. I'm telling my age.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
amazing how things line up and how much time passed and how the Most High was gracious enough to allow that gift to remain with me. Because sometimes if you don't use the talent He gives you, you can lose it. And I'm just
Yep.
grateful and thankful
Yeah.
that I didn't
Yeah.
lose it. Thought
Yeah.
that's over 4 decades.
Wow. That
So
is
just to
that is
anybody out there that that may be thinking, oh, it's too late, too much time has gone, I'm too old, this, that, never. As long as you still have breath in your body and you still have that desire, do it.
yeah.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just get it done. Well, I tell you, I
Even if
don't.
you have to do it afraid. I think, who is that, Joyce Meyer, the book that she
Yeah.
wrote, Do It Afraid? Do it
Do
afraid.
it afraid. Do it anyway. Because the one thing,
Mhm.
and we're gonna,
I,
we're gonna wrap up. I know I could talk forever, especially on this topic. Um, Alicia says God knew it's your destiny, and I definitely agree, Alicia, that this is your destiny. One thing I don't think that
yes.
people realize is that as a writer, as a songwriter, as a fiction writer, as an author, as anything, when you create, no one can take that from you, and you literally
Mhm.
become immortal. You think about, like, I one of my favorite books is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That man's been
Mhm.
dead, I don't know how long, but his book is still leaving a legacy for people like me who, whose mindset is success. Outwitting the Devil is another one of my favorites by him, just for emphasis on leaving your legacy. um, these people are long gone, and so I believe that you will be able to, literally leave your mark on Mississippi, on, the Delta, on the world, because when people see this, they're gonna be like, this came from Mississippi. And we have legends from Mississippi, but I'm about tired of talking about the same old people. We've talked about BB King. I mean, nothing against him, nothing against Oprah, nothing against any of the stars that are homegrown, but at the same time, I believe the time is now. The time is now, and I think that we're going to see some things coming out of this trilogy that is just not going anywhere. And just to let y'all know, and we move a certain type of way. She'll tell you, I'm very strategic when it comes to how we release our things, because I'm prayerful. We were supposed to talk about Far From Home last month, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not satisfied within these walls yet. I need people to see within these walls before we release Far From Home, because they're gonna want, this. And so, my commitment is to make sure that the leaders of our creative legacies now get their due attention. And so it just wouldn't be right for me not to just once again say I just really honor your commitment. It's very inspirational. Very inspirational. um, let's see. Alicia says, yes, I thought about that too, listening to Kenneth Hagan. Yes, helping me today, and he's been gone for years. So, yes, Mississippi, stand up. And I'll say this part, and you can chime in, Miss Tony. Um, the scriptures talk about leaving a inheritance to your children's children. And that looks sometimes different for some people, but um, when you think about your vision for your writing, because like I said, y'all, we talking books now, but we're not even releasing. Like, we literally have a whole year and a half drawn out with Toni Chevelle. So this is, I'm telling y'all, like, she's taking us to new planes, because we want to really see her talents out. We really want to birth this out. But anyway, um, when you think about something like leaving a legacy to the generations, how big let me make sure I ask this right. How big of an influence or how important is it for you to make sure that your what you're working on now is something that your great grandchildren will be able to benefit from?
That is, I think, the most important part with this. Uh, I want my legacy to be, I want my, future generations to see that anything is possible. I know it sounds cliche, but it is true. Anything is possible. I'm a little brown girl from the Mississippi Delta, from Highway 454 out in a little community called Swiftwater. Humble beginnings, very, very humble beginnings. But it's not about where you came from, it's about where you're going. And just knowing that I want my daughter, uh, I don't know if she's watching, but she may go back and watch the replay. My daughter, her children, her children's children, my nieces and nephews, anybody coming behind me, little brown girls especially, to know that whatever your dream and your passion is, pursue that wholeheartedly. And don't let anyone tell you that your humble beginnings um, won't allow you to see greatness. Because your greatness does not lie in what street you grew up on, or whether you came off the south end or the north side or the country or Swiftwater or Refuge or Arcola or wherever you came from. Your greatness is within you wherever you came from, wherever you go. Don't let that stop.
My goodness. I love these. I absolutely love these. I don't know how many interviews we've done, but
Me
each
too.
one is different. This has been amazing. Y'all
It
know we
is.
normally try to keep this within an hour, just to respect your time and I know we all have other things that we could be doing. So I definitely thank you guys for tuning in and sticking around with us as we discuss within these
Definitely.
walls. I did something real quick while we were on, especially for those that are listening. This will not last that long. I just did it real quick while she was talking, just being inspired. So I created a coupon. If you're interested in Within These Walls, it's only applicable to Within These Walls at the moment. But if you want to get that and get that soon, you can get it for 15% off from our website. It's strolling across the bottom. I'm going to post it in the comments. It will not be up long. This was literally like a spur of the moment, let's get this done type, because we want to just say it's really just kind of a way to say thank you for tuning in and watching this with us. So hopefully, even if you're catching a replay, it'll still be up for you. But we just really appreciate the time because it's a Monday night and you could be watching anything, you could be anywhere, and even when you come back and watch the replay, you could still be watching anything else. So we definitely thank you, Miss Toni Chevelle. We thank you for your time. Um, I thank
Awesome.
you for
Thank
being
you
an
for having me.
inspiration as a writer because you're outwriting me. And that is inspirational. It is so inspirational. And so I really, you guys chime in if you are interested in just hearing some more on just the writing process. Let us know because I don't think Miss Toni would mind, and we can get some quick little lives, some videos going, just so
Absolutely.
you can birth out yours. Yeah, so we're gonna discuss that. That is definitely an idea in the making. Just to kind of just be inspiration. We just want to inspire you guys. Like you said, if you have a dream, you have a vision, you want to write, get those books out. That is what we do here at CCP. We birth visions. So, do you have any last minute words?
Just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you guys for your support, purchasing the books. If you have them already, thank you so much. Please leave a review. I love to get feedback from my readers. It helps
Yes.
me fine tune and perfect my writing in the process. Um, and just stay tuned. We have some great things planned. Be sure to get part one and part two. Part three will be forthcoming. because before you know it, you'll be seeing it on screen somewhere. We
You
want to
will
make sure you all
definitely,
are on for the
yes,
ride
yes, follow the ride because this train is not stopping. So, with that
at
being
all.
said, Alicia, you are absolutely welcome. Please like, please share. If you're interested, if you're an author and you're interested in your own author interview, you can go to our website, look under our services, witnesslegend.com. We love our author interviews because I like to talk and I like to talk to authors, and it's cool for me. So, this is like fun. So, with that
It
being
is.
said, we're gonna end our interview today, and just stay tuned for more from Miss Toni Chevelle. If you have not followed her, her author's page is Facebook Toni Chevelle. Instagram is also author Toni Chevelle, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Comments in the comment area. Happy Monday, you guys, and good night. We'll see you next time.
Night.